Once again, the Red Sox is where we start. Not the Raffy Devers trade for the fourth day in a row. We're going to avoid that right now because they've got something really positive going with Garrett Crochet. They went out, they spent some serious draft capital, some serious prospect capital on him before the season. They extended him without even hitting that 150 innings, and it looks like an absolute bargain. It looks like early returns say it could be one of the best contracts in all of baseball. And this stat is the one that really got me yesterday. Look at this from Underdog MLB. Red Sox starting pitchers with a 2.20 ERA or lower and 125 plus Ks through 16 starts. All time. It's a team that's had Cy Young. It's a team that's had Roger Clemens. It's a team that's had Tim Wakefield, damn it. And yet the only two ever are Garrett Crochet and Pedro Martinez. That is some elite company that Garrett Crochet is keeping right now. And I think his start yesterday against Seattle was pretty indicative of exactly what he gives you. And that is, you had a game yesterday where you had 3 hits against a good team, against a team in a playoff position, basically, in Seattle, on the road, in a rubber game, getaway day, and you got out of there because you had Garrett Crochet on the mound. And Crochet wins that game for you. And by the way, he wasn't even at the very top of his game yesterday. 6 innings, he gives up 6 hits. He has a couple of early jams that he gets out of. But he's still 8 strikeouts, 1 walk, mows him down. Doesn't give them a chance. 1 earned run. Doesn't give Seattle a chance. Red Sox have 3 hits in the game. 2 of them are home runs. And bam, they win the ball game. That is the way an ace bails you out. And it is certainly getting some recognition from people around the league. Dan Plesac of MLB Network had to kind of eat his words a little bit last night, saying, I didn't think this guy was going to be the guy. He is the guy. And Alex Cora, after the game, kind of put into words how we as Red Sox fans are all feeling about that once a week, maybe twice a week, when Garrett Crochet toes the rubber for the Boston Red Sox.
We've been pitching well. I've been saying all along, if we pitch, we're going to have a shot. And today, Garrett, he kind of like grinded the first few innings, and then he found his groove. Witt was really good. Chappie for the top of the lineup, and Greg finished it.
How much to have a guy who grinds and goes 6 innings and no walks, 8 strikeouts?
I mean, that's why you got to pay the big bucks, right? He's an ace. He understands what comes with the territory, not only on the field but off the field. One of the leaders in the clubhouse, and every 5 days is a special day for us.
There's a lot of drama around this Red Sox team right now. There's a lot of underachieving still there. But every 5th day is a special day for us. And I remember thinking this when they got Chris Sale back in 2017. This idea of every 5 days, it's going to be an event at the Red Sox game. Garrett Crochet towing the rubber. And that's exactly what it's become. And I'll use a personal anecdote. Living in Chicago, they were in Milwaukee on Memorial Day. And I was going to go to that game no matter what, right? And then the night before it set in, I was like, oh my God, Crochet is going to be on the mound. And like the whole hour and a half drive up, I'm thinking about watching Garrett Crochet live. I'm thinking he's going to throw a no-hitter. Do I have my scorebook with me? It's an electric event when Garrett Crochet is out there. But look at this guy. Like, how do you not get electric about that? He is an absolute pig. He's a workhorse, and he's really one of the front runners for the AL Cy Young this year. And when you are in that kind of company with Pedro Martinez, you are doing something right. I know that's kind of cherry-picked stats, right? First 16 starts, 2.20 ERA, 125 strikeouts. It's a bit cherry-picked. But A, you're only there with Pedro, so that still says something. And B, they are legit stats. I mean, he's got 125 Ks and 102 innings, right? He's got a 2.20 ERA halfway through the season. It's him and Tarek Skubal. Nate Eovaldi is still kind of on the outer tier of the Cy Young talk. But through all the ups and downs of this season, you have had a guy that every 5th day you can unequivocally trust to go out there and give you put you in a great position to win a ball game. And I didn't get to talk about it because this game was last Friday, and on Monday we obviously had to talk Devers. But that game he pitched against the Yankees last weekend, man, that should have been the absolute highlight of the season for the team, right? I mean, that place was electric from inning 1 to inning 9. And he goes, it looks like he's going to throw a complete game shutout. Obviously gives up the game-tying homer to Judge, which is not good. It sucks the Red Sox didn't score more than 1 run in the first 8 innings to get him that win. But that was as electric an atmosphere as we've seen at Fenway in a few years. And yeah, the Yankees had something to do with it. Maybe the new uniforms had something to do with it, but mostly it was Garrett Crochet absolutely shoving, making Aaron Judge look like a pylon. The guy who's going to run away with the American League MVP again. This is like the second coming of Barry Bonds, and Crochet makes him look silly up there. The point is, the Red Sox cannot squander this. I'm not saying they got to go and win the World Series this year, but you've got a lot of deficiencies that are made up by the fact that Garrett Crochet is the best starting pitcher in the American League. He and Tarek Skubal. Right there, man. You can't just continue to spin the wheels, be a rudderless ship, and, finish in 3rd or 4th place. Toronto's playing better ball than you right now, and they have the whole season, but they don't have a Garrett Crochet. Tampa does not have a Garrett Crochet. And this is a point that Tony Maserati makes a lot, and I don't usually like using Maz points, but this one he's perfectly spot on because you saw it with the Pedro days. When you have a guy like this, an absolute stud like Garrett Crochet, that's going out there every 5th day, and he can win you, 17 to 19 games, because 20 is a lot these days, right? Let's make it 15 to 17 wins. You just basically have to be a 500 team the rest of the way. And you go out with Garrett Crochet with a 16-6 record. Right there, you're 10 games over. That's going to get you in the postseason. That gets you in the playoffs. Garrett Crochet can do that for you, basically all by himself. So you can't squander this kind of opportunity of having a historic season, the likes of which we haven't seen in 25 years. And stuff that we didn't see Chris Sale do, stuff that we didn't see Clemens do, stuff that we didn't see Beckett or Schilling do, who had some pretty damn good years when they were here. No, it's Crochet and Pedro. And when you're talking about the Red Sox and the annals of Red Sox pitching history, like Pedro is the top. When you're being compared to seasons like that, you're doing something right. And let's look at what it is this year. He's 7-4, 220. Still doesn't have a win at Fenway, by the way, which is insane through all of this. 2.20 ERA, 125 strikeouts, as I said, in 102 innings, a whip just barely a hair over 1. And that probably didn't help him in the start yesterday where he gave up 6 hits in 6 innings. But the fact is, he didn't really give the Mariners a chance. His FIP, 259, the lowest of his career. His hits per 9, just under 7, which is the lowest of his career. And he has been throwing a lot. The 102 innings leads Major League Baseball. So that's something to keep an eye on. Definitely something to keep an eye on. Less than a homer per 9, 11 strikeouts per 9, which is actually about 2 strikeouts lower than he had last year. So he is learning to pitch a little bit rather than just blowing it by guys. His cutter has been just nasty. I mean, that is one of the most unhittable pitches in baseball. The weak contact he's getting on the cutter, the movement he gets on that's a swing and miss and a weak contact pitch. That is just elite kind of stuff. And to put this into perspective, what we're talking about, and this is really a great excuse for me to just brag on my favorite Red Sox of all time, who I kind of trashed on the show yesterday, Pedro Martinez. Pedro did both these things, all the cherry pick stats there. The 125 strikeouts through the first 16 starts and a 2.20 ERA. He did that twice in 99 and 2000, which I think are the 2 best pitching seasons in Major League history. 99, Pedro at age 27 had led the league in WAR at 9.8. He led the league in wins with 23, 23-4. That year, a 2.07 ERA, you best believe that led the league as well. 313 strikeouts in 213 innings. And he led the league in every one of the kind of percentage categories. ERA plus, FIP, WHIP, which we didn't even know about back then. Hits per 9, homers per 9 at 0.4, strikeouts per 9 at 13. He should have won the MVP that year as well in 99. He finished second in the MVP voting. His ERA plus was 243. That means he was 143% better than the league average pitcher. That's nuts, man. That's nuts. And then what's even more nuts is the next year in 2000, he has the best pitching season of all time, probably in 1999. And then the next year he does it again. He does it even better in 2000. He was only 18-6 that year because the Red Sox offense was horrid. But his WAR, again leading the league at 11.7. 11.7 WAR. Okay, 4 shutouts led the league. An ERA of 1.74. In the height of the steroid era, at one of the most hitter-friendly ballparks in the league, and in one of the most hitter-friendly divisions in the league, in the AL East. And Pedro had a 1.74 ERA. Second in the league behind Pedro was Kevin Brown at 2.58. Like, that is legit video game stuff. I could go and play a season of MLB The Show right now with my player as a pitcher, put up all the sliders, and I still might not get that. 1.74 is disgusting in the year 2000 in the steroid era in one of the most hitter-friendly ballparks in all of baseball. But we don't stop there, okay? Because, of course, he led the league in ERA at 1.74, led the league in strikeouts in 284 and 217 innings. That's a big drop-off, by the way. 30 strikeouts less in 4 more innings than he had in 99. Pitched a little bit more rather than throwing it by you. The ERA plus, again, the league average is always 100 in ERA plus. Pedro's in 2000 was 291. That will never be equaled, ever. 291. He was almost 200% better than the league average pitcher. It's just insane. It's video game stuff right now. And you look, I mean, the WAR for pitchers, he was almost 4 more wins valuable than the next most valuable pitcher, who, by the way, was Randy Johnson. You might have heard of him, okay? He was pretty good. He had a whip under 1 for the entire year, way under 1. It was 0.737. The next is 0.991. He was at least a hit better than the next best in hits per 9. It's just incredible. It's also crazy as he wasn't number 1 in strikeouts per 9. He was second in that. Because Randy Johnson had 347 strikeouts that year. What the hell? It was the greatest time to be a hitter ever, and these two pitchers were just insane. So I don't know that Garrett Crochet gets to that kind of grossness. I don't know that anybody gets to that kind of grossness. But just so you know, like, that's the company he's keeping right now when it comes to all these numbers. That's the kind of company he's keeping with Pedro Martinez. Now I'm going to bring you down a little bit, because here's my concern. From an eye test, okay? From an eye test. Clearly the numbers were not there because this guy was not on the list. But from the eye test, the first 3 months feel a lot like the last left-handed ace starting pitcher they traded for from the Chicago White Sox. It feels a lot like what Crochet looked like the first 3 months here. And remember, that team was better than this team, but it was underachieving a little bit. They weren't hitting the way they did the year before. They didn't give him any run support. I wouldn't be surprised if you told me that at this point in the 2017 season that Crochet did not have a win at Fenway Park. You know, he didn't have a stellar record, but he was striking a ton of guys out. He was great in that 2017 season, but then he petered out at the end. He got injured at the end of it. And little did we know that would become a theme. He did it again the next year and was back by the postseason both times, but was not the same pitcher. Was not the shutdown pig ace starting pitcher. And we still have to keep in mind with Garrett Crochet, he hasn't thrown 150 innings. That's a number he needs to be hitting every year now on an 8-year extension. He's at 102 innings right now. Leads the league in innings pitched right now. About halfway through the season. Okay, we do need to keep that into consideration. There's a long way to go here. And if you had told me in the middle of the 2017 season how the Chris Sale Red Sox era would end up, I would have thought it was a disappointment. If we're being totally honest, and looking back on it now, that extension was a bad deal. Of course, the irony or the coincidence now is that, Chris Sale gets traded, wins the Cy Young, and has had an ERA of like 1 in his last 50 innings pitched for the Braves. He's fucking unbelievable. He's back to being the pitcher he was in the early days in Boston and all the days in Chicago. So hopefully that doesn't happen to Garrett Crochet, but I will say we need to tread lightly, some cautious optimism here. Both things can be true. The Red Sox can't fuck this up right now, but we also can't get too ahead of our skis. We have seen this with Chris Sale. Garrett Crochet, I want to say, is like a year or two younger than what Chris Sale was, and is less proven than Chris Sale was by the time Sale was traded to Boston. That's how you got to trade your top 2 prospects for him. But I think there is some concern there just in how he's going to hold up. But from what we've seen so far, he has been absolutely money. And the Red Sox should be thanking their lucky stars that they have a special day for them every 5th day with Garrett Crochet. That's the kind of historic season he's having so far. It's been a joy to watch. Long may it continue. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Do you have concerns for Garrett Crochet over a whole season? How great a deal was this, by the way, to extend him for all the shit that Craig Breslow has pulled? This was a hell of a deal. Let me know what you think about it in the comment section below. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. We are coming at you every time live on YouTube and then available wherever you get your podcasts as well. So check out the other videos on the channel talking Red Sox and everything else going on in the world of Boston sports. I'm your host, Cam Stewart. Zach Burke keeps us on the air 5 days a week.